Hello my friends, and let me show you those fantastic videos presented by primary drone unit of Ukrainian army. They again published the result of their special military operations on occupied territory. This is the Russian air defense system tour, which was nailed by a remotely controlled drone. And what is this? Well, we have S-400 air defense radar, and it was again hit. One more, it seems like, yeah, Book M3. One more Russian air defense also radar, and it was allegedly, it was hit 100%. They publish those videos at least once a week, sometimes several days per week, so it's fantastic job that they do. And it seems like they operate FP1 drones from the Firepoint company, but I'm not sure about that, so I wouldn't state by 100%, but it looks like FP1 drones have this option of the remote control. So still Russia is in lack of the tools to protect their air defense systems. The air defense has been hit by something coming from air, which makes it a little cringe for Russians, but it is happening. And those kind of the sophisticated air defense systems are unable to deal with the small drones flying and hitting them. You know, yesterday on a stream I reviewed this one. This is the Turkish-made Tolga anti-drone system, which is capable to fight against FPV drones and surveillance drones, like any type of the drones, and they could be installed even on MRAPs. Yeah, this is the Turkish MRAP Kirpi, and it has this anti-drone gun on the top. Well, judging on the video, it looks like very effective. It hits those FPV drones, smaller drones, bigger drones, any sort of the drones. But what they showed that the drones were approaching from one side. So if the drones are flying from multiple of the altitudes, from multiple of the sides, many of the drones, of course, even this system will not be able to cope with everything of that. So you need 2, 3, 4, maybe more systems to protect all of the surroundings. So as for me, it is better than nothing, but still multiple of the attacks of the drones may handle it. Also, one more downside, that there is some sort of the operator who aims manually on everything of that. So again, it will take the entire vehicle for this command control center or whatsoever. The idea itself is good. There should be some of the thing installed on vehicle, on tank, on air defense system, which is bigger, yeah, like S-300 Ukraine has, or Patriot systems. But this kind of the turret should do everything automatically without any sort of the operator, because it will take just lots of the space and it's very, very complicated. Well, I guess the system is perfect against Russian Lancet drones. Usually they're not swarms of those Lancet drones attacking. It's one, then the second one, and this turret may deal with that. So for this kind of the protection of the air defense systems, yeah, it could be used. But of course, Russians do not have those, so they will continue to lose their air defense systems towards Books and S-400s. Yeah, it's the usual thing for Russia. And they do not have the access, robust access to get the spare parts from West. Yes, they still obtain those, but here and there they cannot plan their production relying only on black market, because you don't know whether you obtain the spare part today, tomorrow, in 1 month, 1 year. There could be some of the sanctions. Someone could start investigation, trace particular spare parts that Russia still obtains. So for the Russian military, I think it's an unachievable goal. And as I told you in my last video, we have some of the good news. So Ukraine will receive advanced SAM-T systems. Also, there was the agreement for Ukraine to get 100 Rafale jets. Also, there were the talks about deploying the international coalition to Ukraine. Then the war is freezed or over or stopped, something like that. But those forces will not be deployed to the front lines. That is what those officials were saying. About particular date, then Ukraine may obtain Rafale jets or something like that. Well, so far they haven't specified that yet, but the deal was signed. What the details of the deal are pretty much unknown. It is just an initial phase, as it was with Gripen, so also Rafale will take some time. As I say to you, could take years actually. I guess that the main thing for Ukraine is to obtain the military support in general for the tools it currently has, for the drone production, for the own long-range missile production, and it could be easily done if Europeans confiscate Russian frozen assets. In this case, taxpayers' money will stay intact and Ukraine may obtain substantial military support, because those money will be invested in European military production. Also, Ukrainian economy is struggling and European Union could support Ukraine with that bunch of money. Yeah, sadly, Ukrainian government was discredited. That happened because of the recent corruption scandal around President's circle. But nevertheless, NABU is working. I hope that they will deal with everything of that. And Ukraine will not go into those stories once again. Also, the French authorities said about the possible year then the war could over. They said about 2027. Well, we'll see. I hope the sooner the better. Strangely, they already speak about the protection of the European Union with the help of the Ukrainian troops. Ukrainian troops could help defend the European Union, says Defense Commissioner. Ukraine's battle-tested military could help deter a Russian attack, says the Defense Commissioner. Is European Union helping, like with its army, to deter Russian attack? Why should Ukraine help European Union with own army men not being the part of EU and NATO? Take Ukraine into NATO, take Ukraine into European Union, and then we'll talk, okay? Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians died to protect their own land, and you want them to continue to die, protect your own land. So then invite Ukraine into European family, into defense alliance, and we commonly, all together will protect European Union, NATO, as it used to be. Ukrainian army is not some sort of the Black Waters or Wagner army which could be hired to protect someone. No, it's the government freaking army, which is out there to protect the Ukrainian government. Thank you so much for support of Ukraine, limited but still support of Ukrainian army. That is what Ukraine also may do. For example, support European Union with drone technologies, also some of the missiles which Ukrainian army produces. But troops, if we are in one family, yes, Ukrainians together with other nations will protect Europe against Russian attacks. But using our people just like that and you live your fancy lives elsewhere in Europe, no, it will not work like that. And Ukraine already suffered. Someone will have to work to rebuild the cities. No, will Germans come? Yeah, come help Ukraine to rebuild if you care about Ukraine or what. You care about yourself, it seems like, without even wanting to invest to Ukraine fully and continue to purchasing Russian fossil fuels. So you understand, my frustration here, my friends. I guess you understand. If fighting in Ukraine ends with peace agreement, Ukrainian troops could be deployed to defend European Union eastern borders from Russia. No, it will not work. Ukrainians will be against unless we are in the same family for defense and for economy alliance. Without it, those commissioners should F themselves. There was the investigation done. The part of the Russian aviation gliding bombs are produced on factories in Japan and China. The groups of independent investigators identified the Okuma, Japan, and Hiseon, China machining centers, which are working for the aero bomb of the Russian corporation tactical missile armament. They manufacture the stabilizer for mortar rounds. So Burevestnik is the name of missile, and also Russia has Burevestnik Center Research, which is not the same as Burevestnik missile. Not just Burevestnik they're making there. So with China companies, Taiwanese companies, and as we mentioned before, Japan companies, there are spare parts produced for Iskanders and Reshnik. And Russia is still not been cut from those supplies. Well, for China it's understandable, but for Taiwan and Japan, come on, what are you doing? Well, after all, European and United States spare parts are being found in Russian drones, so it's not a surprise, I would say. All right, new update of Donald Trump. This time it's quite good. Let's listen and try to understand what he says here.
I hear they're doing that, and that's okay with me. They're passing legislation, or the Republicans are putting in legislation that very tough. It's sanctioning, etc., etc., on any country doing business with Russia. They may add Iran to that, as you know. I suggested it.
So now he says that this legislation that was proposed by some of the senators to the Senate itself, and that has the support of more than 80 senators, well, now Donny may give it a go and apply strict sanctions on the countries who continue to trade with Russia, and it's good. It's good. It's absolutely great. Yeah, where should I put my screen? So here somewhere. Yeah, we see that the price, even without those secondary sanctions, without those being actually applied, the price of the Russian oil goes down. Now it's minimum for the last couple of years. The Russian Brent Urals trades something around 36 United States dollar per barrel. And now with this new statement, it will go down even more. Ukrainian kinetic sanctions also matter. Yeah, even though Russia was capable to restore one line in heavily damaged Novorossiysk port, and now they're refueling a couple of the tankers there. But just imagine the management of those companies who continue to trade with the Russian shadow fleet. Like they're sending their tankers and they don't know what to expect, whether Ukraine attacks the port, whether their tanker could be kaboomed or not. So it's kind of risky, very risky operation, and not many traders are willing to trade the Russian oil right now. That's why it's dropping. The volume goes down because there are huge risks. By the way, Donny postponed some of the sanctions on part of their Lukoil company. It is done for European companies to change the supplier, so it will also lead to the drop of the Russian oil price. Less consumers, especially countries as Bulgaria, Romania, they were very dependent on Russian oil. Also, I guess Serbia, but Trump said to Serbia that no, you will not have some sort of the exclusion from sanctions. Just Hungary has those exclusions because Orban is a close friend probably of Donald Trump. But in general, the news are good. The Russian oil market is shrinking, and Ukraine helps with that also quite a lot. By the way, Ukraine signed the agreement with Greece about the gas supplements through Greece territory, but the gas will be delivered via LNG ports, and it will be the gas coming from the United States of America. Well, it will help Ukraine to go through the winter. And yeah, the graph is kind of interesting because the price for the Russian oil was even lower than Russia adapted. Yeah, sanctions, everything dropped down. Then Russia adapted its economy. They started to operate their shadow fleet. Everything was stable for a couple of years. And then a new drop once again. Hopefully it will go lower. Russia doesn't obtain enough money for its military. It has to get the loans from the banks, but it cannot continue forever. This huge debt should be compensated by something. So in the long term, of course, the Russian economy will collapse, but it might take years and years. This situation is very similar to Soviet Union by the time of the Afghan war. Then the oil prices went down. Also Saudis, they're going to boost the oil production, and as experts say, there should be kind of the cheap oil for a long time, for years also. Meanwhile, Russia attacked the oil tanker in Dunabe, also some of the port infrastructure. Romania evacuated the local village because of the Russian attacks. So it's very like few meters away from Romanian territory, few hundred meters away. Yeah, they say it's not the oil tanker, this is the LNG tanker that was carrying 4,000 tons of the liquid gas. And the vessel itself, it doesn't belong to Ukraine. I think it belongs to Turkey. So Russia doesn't hesitate to attack our partners and also NATO vessels, and the vessels which belong to NATO members. By the way, a couple of days ago, Russia attacked the Azerbaijani embassy in Kiev. Azerbaijan already called the Russian ambassador to explain what happened. Well, Russia just continues its provocations against Azerbaijan. Oh, there was some sort of the blow-up in Poland. Blowing up the rail track on the Warsaw-Lublin route is an unprecedented act of sabotage, targeting directly the security of the Polish state and its civilians. This route is also crucially important for delivering aid to Ukraine. We will catch the perpetrators, whoever they are. Okay, so someone did blow up the tracks in Poland, the tracks which are used for military delivery for Ukraine. Prime Minister of Poland even visited the place together with police, military and everyone. But at the same time, the same day, Poland is opening the border with Belarus. 3 of the checkpoints resumed the normal operation. They were closed because of the possible sabotage attacks, and illegal immigration. So now I have this cognitive dissonance. You have it right away and you open the border. I mean, what? That's the very, very interesting logic. I'm tired of saying about corruption scandals, but I have to add something here. Why they're all looking like a caricature for some sort of the people, those officials of Ukraine, allegedly Ukraine, yeah, because they all have some foreign passports. So Rustem Umerov, who is the ex-defense minister of Ukraine, and later on who became the secretary of the National Security and Defense Council, has refused to return to Ukraine. He personally informed President Zelensky about his decision, according to media reports. Umerov is now in Turkey. Well, somehow I'm not surprised, yeah, because his surname is also out there published by NABU in investigation. Umerov, I think, is involved in some of the schemes. For now, there are no direct proofs published, but the fact that he's refusing to go to Ukraine tells a lot about this gentleman. Well, I hope that everyone who are involved will be punished or at least dismissed, including very, very high officials, and if president involved, it doesn't really matter. Corruption during the war, it's a treason. Well, Interfax Ukraine already say that the news presented by Clash Report is some sort of the fake. Yeah, Clash Report, I understand it's not the reliable source, but nevertheless, this guy is out there for many days in Turkey and elsewhere. So what is he doing there? Communicating or something? They say here that he is on official visit. Yes, the Defense Council of Ukraine is not the embassy of Ukraine elsewhere. It's the internal organization of Ukraine. So in the coming days, I'm sure that if this information is correct, he should return to Ukraine. If not, Clash Report is correct. He left Ukraine on November 11th, the same day with the scandal, yeah? Then all of this information was uncovered, and he is also in that list. Not yet the full allegations are published against him, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. The investigation was ongoing for 15 months, and NABU already knows whether he is involved or not. So maybe he afraid to arrive. We'll see it in the coming days. For now, I cannot state 100% that he is a corrupt official as Mindich. And 2 minutes ago, Clash Report already denied previous accusations. That sources speaking to Clash Report say that there is no truth to the claim that Umerov does not plan to return to Ukraine. According to individuals in direct contact with Umerov, he will indeed return. We'll see. We'll see. And this is the screenshot from the Russian Angles base. You can see Antonov 12 and 137 of the trucks, which potentially could deliver some of the missiles to be loaded on the Russian bombers. The Russian bombers are far away in Ukrainka base, but this screenshot tells that soon maybe Russia plans one more strike on Ukraine. Pretty much a massive one using strategic aviation. Boris Pistorius, the defense minister of Germany, says that this summer of 2025 could be the last peaceful in Europe. The head of the German defense said that we're supposed to estimate, or we used to estimate, that the attack of Russia on Europe is possible in 2029. But now we have the different assessment of situation, and escalation may happen in 2028. Some experts even say that this summer was the last peaceful in Europe, so they don't know when Russia might attack, but all of the Europe is getting ready actually for that Russians move. And judging on those provocations in Poland, provocations with the drones. Yesterday, by the way, Denmark again closed its airspace and one of the airfields because of the drone attacks or drone just flying nearby. No one shuts down those drones. Pistorius said that NATO should modernize immediately, should rearm. Yeah, of course, it is already evident they are trying to do it, but it takes time. Germany is preparing to commence a medical assessment of its citizens to understand how many conscripts potentially it has. Pistorius mentions that only force matters, and the peace is holding on this force. So if you are a powerful nation with big army, there is the less possibility that you're getting attacked by Russia or some other state. But the thing is that according to the polls done in Germany, recent polls, just 16% of German population is willing to defend its country. Yeah, 16%. And there they spoke about the potential attack of Russia, what it might happen if Russia actually attacks. And like Pistorius, I'm sure that there will be a big war between NATO and Russia, Russia plus China plus North Korea and plus Iran. And Medvedev said that Russia will continue this war until Russia reaches its goals of the special military operation. Okay, we already know that. You don't need to say about it every freaking day. Everyone understands that Putin is not willing to stop, and this war may continue for many, many years and even escalate to our allies. We'll see. Well, guys, it was a quick recap about the main news which happened for the last night around Ukraine, and this evening I'm gonna update you about the military information, so the front lines update, stand by for it. I'm gonna record one more video. And thank you for your kind support on Patreon and also membership. You may join my Patreon with the link in the video description just below. And for membership, just press the join button somewhere over here. My friends, if you don't have this opportunity to support me in that way, you may just press your like to this video and subscribe for the channel, because that's how you also support my video, propelling it and my channel, my video and my channel, propelling it to YouTube algorithms. Thank you so much for that as well. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are. Have a great time.